Assalamu alaikum, brothers. Before I start the khutbah, I want to remind people to move up. Also, a quick reminder, I noticed that many people, they make this salah and they're praying their sunnahs, and their clothes is very tight. And when they make sujood, they backside is showing. The outer for the man, his private part for the man is from his navels to his knees and part of his chest. So whoever's making salat and you making sujood or you making ruku and you feel your pants are sagging and your butt is exposed, know for sure your salat is not accepted. Your salat is not accepted. Barakallahu feekum.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهدي فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أما بعد، قبل أن أبدأ الخطبة أريد أتكلم عن موضوع مهم. Before I speak or start the khutbah, I like to speak about something very important. Al-shurut al-salah. The conditions of the salah. إذا الشروط الصلاة ليس موجودة الله سبحانه وتعالى لا يقبل هذه الصلاة. If the conditions of the salah, if they're not made or they're not present, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not accept the salah of that person. Either هي صلاة الفرد أو نوافل. Either it is the fard salat or the nawafil salat. Al-shurut salat wa ba'duha, some of the conditions of salat, whether it's the fard salat or nawafil salat, is al-awwar, the person's private part. It must be covered. Your private part must be covered. Many of the Muslims think al-awra faqat li-nisa. Many Muslim men, they think that awra is only related to the Muslim women. That she must wear the kimar or the jilbab fi salah. Wa hadha kalam sahih. Some Muslims think that the Muslim woman must wear the hijab for salah. And this is true. Wa rijal mawju al-awra. هذه من شروط الصلاة الرجال. This is part of the condition of the salah for the Muslim man. We have no excuses no more. There is no more excuses or not knowing. If I come to the masjid and you're making sujood or you're making ruku and you feel your buttocks is out, know for sure your salah is not accepted. Not part of the salat, not half of the salat, the whole salat is not accepted. Al-shurutu salat, yani the awra li-rijal. This is how you present yourself in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fi ibadah. Anta tukum amam Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fi salah. You're standing in front of Allah when you are making a salah. Where is your khushu'? Where is your khawf? Amam Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fi salah. Where is your khushu'? Where is your fear of Allah? Where is your submission? If you stand in front of Allah and you're not fulfilling conditions that He made obligatory upon you related to the salah. So if you're praying, and you know, I see many times in the masjid, many places, the people come, they pray, but the men are not paying attention to their clothing. They're not paying attention. في وقت رسول الله في عهد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم كان الرجل يصلي والملابس له ثوب له ضيق. A man who prayed with the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and his clothing was tight. You can see his private parts. You can see the imprint. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam warned them about this. He warned them about this. Not wearing tight clothing when you're making salah. وَهُوَ يَتَكَلَّمْ بِالرَّجُلِ. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he was speaking to a man. So it's very important as shurutu salah. We understand what are the conditions of the salah. It's very important for all Muslim men and Muslim women. It's not related to Muslim women only. And many of us, many men, we misunderstand many things about the religion that is open and clear from the text. Barakallahu feekum. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى ويسألونك عن الخمر والميسر وقل فيها ما إثم كبير ومنافع للناس وإثمهما أكبر من نفعهما. They ask, Allah say, and they ask you about al-khamr wa maisir. They ask you about these things. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Munafil nas wa ithmu kabir. It has a major sin to it, meaning it has harms. some say, hey, when I gamble, or I drink khamr, or I gamble, there's some benefit from it. I win something. I accumulate something. But Allah said the sin of it is greater than what benefits from it. For fi Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala yanha an maysir. What? Al-khamr. Allah Azza wa Jalla, He prohibit gambling and drinking intoxicant oil and taking intoxicants. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى يا أيها الذين آمنوا إنما الخمر وميسر والأنصاب والأزلام رجس وعمل الشيطان فاجتنبوه لعلكم تفلحون, pertaining to gambling and intoxicants. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said it is rijis. It is filth. It is najis. And He said, وَعَمَلَ الشَّيْطَانِ, it is the works of shaitan. And Allah said, فَاجْتَنِبُوهُ, to stay away from it or him. لَعَلَّكُمْ تُفْلِحُونَ, and perhaps you can attain taqwa. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ الشَّيْطَانُ أَيْ يُوقِعَ بَيْنَكُمْ الْعَدَاوَةَ وَالْبَغْضَاءَ فِي الْخَمْرِ وَالْمَيْسِرِ وَيُصِدَّكُمْ عَنْ ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ وَعَنْ صَلَوَاتِ. Allah say, and the shaitan, he wants to make you adversary to hatred of one another, related to in the use of khamr, intoxicants, and gambling. And this take you away from the path of the remembrance of Allah and the salah. Al-khamr. في علماء الفقهاء العلماء في هذا الباب الخمر, related to the chapter of khamr, intoxicants, the ulama have indicated or inputted in this particular field that intoxicants from all forms and fashion are prohibited in Islam. So that includes baking of wine or the consumption of wine, alcohol, beer. This also includes cocaine, weed, ecstasy, dust, whatever you want to call it. All these things fall under the category of khamr. Khamr means in Lugha Arabiya, something that takes your mind away from the reality. Not knowing what you are doing or clouding your mind. So all these things fall under this ruling. Why mention it today? A few days ago inside the masjid, a young Muslim kid came to the masjid لحفظ القرآن. Barakallahu fihi. May Allah bless him. Somebody came, one of the kids came to memorize Quran. And while we were sitting, we was observing, there is a strong fragrance of marijuana, weed, on this particular child. And I said to myself, no, it can't be. Can't be. Can't be. Can't be that ignorant. I must be mistaken. So I went to him. And I smelled him. And I smelled his hair. It had a strong smell of weed. I said to myself, some sins are suspicious. But in Islam, when the evidence is there in front of you, as Allah says, some suspicions are sin, not all. And I said, maybe, make excuses for him. Maybe he was walking down the streets and people were smoking. And he walked into a cloud of this smoke. So I questioned him. And he said, no, he was hanging out with people smoking weed. I said, subhanallah. I said, subhanallah. In one hand, the masjid is calling this young man to Islam, to the haqq, to preserve himself. But when he's in the street and outside his home, the shaitan is calling him to another path. And we have many individuals who are Muslim who indulge in these type of things. And they think that it's lawful. So let's discuss what are some of the scholars' position on drugs, heroin, opium. In particular now in New York City, where you have crises of people overdosing on pills. Where we have a crisis in New York where the government wants to legalize the use of marijuana, weed, which will cause a lot of corruption in the city. It will cause a lot of corruption. So the Muslim, he needs to engage in some of these things first from the Islamic point of view. There's no doubt that taking drugs in Islam, it is haram, prohibited, including hashish, opium, cocaine, morphine, and so on and so forth. This is for many reasons, including the following. One, first thing, it dulls the senses. It beflogs the mind. And whatever does that is haram. Because the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, every intoxicant is a khamr. And every intoxicant is haram. Whoever drink khamr in this world and dies persisting in that, and without having repented, will not drink it in the hereafter. Narrated by Muslim. Al-Bukhari and Muslim narrated by Abu Musa, he said, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam sent Mu'ad ibn Jabal and me to Yemen. And I said, O Messenger of Allah, there is a drink that is made in our land, and it's called al-mizar, or mizar, which is made from barley, meaning from wheats. And another drink called al-bit, which is made from honey. He, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, said every intoxicant is haram. Also narrated in Bukhari, collected in Bukhari and Muslim, narrated by Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu, he said, I heard Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, saying from the member of the Messenger of Allah, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, O people, the prohibition of khamr was revealed when khamr was made from 5 things: grapes, honey, dates, wheat, and barley. Khamr is whatever flogs the mind in the hadith. There is no doubt that drugs also befog the mind and take away the reasoning and thinking and knowing what's going on. And we have seen that clearly in many cases when people are high on drugs and they get behind the wheel. We see that clearly in the U.S. Very clear. When somebody's on drugs or drunk and behind the wheel, we see the results of that. Al-Hafid Ibn Hajar, rahimahullah, he said, the general meaning of the word, every intoxicant is haram, is taken as evidence that whatever caused intoxication is haram. Even if it's not a drink, say it again, even if it is not a drink. So that includes hashish, related to smoking weed and marijuana, and other things. And Imam An-Nawawi rahimahullah and others were certain that this is an intoxicant. And others were certain that dulls the sense, and it is arrogant to say otherwise, because its visible effects are the same as those as khamr, and the people get addicted to them. Even concluding, he said, even if we assume that it's not intoxicant, it is proven in Abu Dawood that all intoxicants are haram. And Allah knows best. The end of the quote, which you can find in Fatah al-Bari, the commentary on Sahih Bukhari. So intoxicants from all forms, drugs, are haram. A little bit of it, a lot of it, It is haram in Islam. It is prohibited in Islam. And for those Muslims, we have many ignorant Muslims who say, but there is a benefit in smoking weed. This is the addiction talking. That is the addiction talking. And there are some characteristics of people who are addicts and addicted to certain drugs. They make certain type of excuses to keep themselves using that drug. What about the effects of it on our children now? وَقُولِي قَوْلِي هَذَا وَأَسْتَغْفِرُ اللَّهَ لِي وَلَكُمْ وَجَمِيعَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ مِنْ كُلِّ ذَنْبٍ. Alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala nabina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Those who drink or take drugs for relaxation, to ill the muscles or to relax the muscles and numb its extremities, this is a form of intoxicants. And it's forbidden to drink them, lest they mean they lead to intoxicants. Or intoxication, meaning if they get you high or get you drunk. We consider all these things to be intoxicants. So those people who claim they use it for recreation uses, or to relax, or to relieve themselves from stress. The way you relieve yourself from stress is al-afqar was-salah. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَقَمَّ الْمَيْسَرْ يُسِدُّهُمْ what? From the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and salah. So those who have stress, those who have problems, then you must fight these addictions. Related to Muslim children, I'm going to end with this. The Muslim youth. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم الدين الخليلي. هذا كلام رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. أنت على دين صديقك. That you are on the way or the path of your companion. If your children are hanging out with people who use drugs, who get high, who run the streets, most likely your children are going to do the same thing. If you allow your children, your boys or your daughters, to go outside when they please, come home when they please, go where they please, and not paying attention to what your children are doing, for sure they're going to be involved with drugs. A sure thing. Many research and many studies, and my own personal opinion, my own personal experience growing up in this country and not being Muslim, I know for a fact that when kids go to school, junior high school, that kids and teenagers experiment with drugs. It is a reality. No matter how much you want to deny it, not how much you think your children won't get into it, everyone think that their children will never be involved with these things. If your children go to public school, or you live in the inner city, whether you live with people who are poor, or you live with people who are rich, everybody in this society, in some form or fashion, is affected with drug use and drug abuse. So if you're not paying attention to what your children are doing, who they're hanging out with, and you say, I am busy with work, I'm busy with my job, and you don't follow up what your children are doing, for sure they will fall into these things. And the drugs lead to other things. Smoking weed lead to other things. Smoking weed, sniffing leads to maybe taking coke. Harder drugs. Smoking weed might even lead to what? Zina, because it intoxicates the mind. If you look at many studies, women who got pregnant not married, and they have boyfriends, many times they said they got pregnant, they was drunk or high on drugs. And even some of these cases got raped. So doing these things or not paying attention to your children, we are responsible for our children. I gave many couples on this. Save yourself and your family from the fire. اللهم صل على محمد وأهل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وأهل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد قد قامت الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله.
No, there's water leaking.
وأن
There's water leaking from the roof. It's gonna
محمد
destroy it.
رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
Brothers in the back, move down. All the brothers in the last row, there's space down there. Please move down.
الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين. إن الذين آمنوا والذين هاجروا وجاهدوا في سبيل الله أولئك يرجون رحمة الله. أولئك يرجون رحمة الله والله غفور رحيم. يسألونك عن الخمر والميسر قل فيهما إثم كبير ومنافع للناس وإثمهما أكبر من نفعهما ويسألونك ماذا ينفقون قل العفو كذلك يبين الله لكم الآيات لعلكم تتفكرون في الدنيا والآخرة ويسألونك عن اليتامى قل إصلاح لهم خير وإن تخالطوهم فإخوانكم والله يعلم المفسد من المصلح ولو شاء الله لأعنتكم إن الله عزيز حكيم. ولا تنكحوا المشركات حتى يؤمن ولأمة مؤمنة خير من مشركة ولو أعجبتكم ولا تنكحوا المشركين حتى يؤمنوا ولعبد مؤمن خير من مشرك ولو أعجبكم أولئك يدعون إلى النار والله يدعو إلى الجنة والمغفرة بإذنه ويبين آياته للناس لعلهم يتذكرون. الله سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. ويسألونك عن المحيض قل هو أذى فاعتزلوا النساء في المحيض ولا تقربوهن حتى يطهر فإذا تطهرن فأتوهن من حيث أمركم الله إن الله يحب التوابين ويحب المتطهرين. نساؤكم حرث لكم فأتوا حرثكم أنى شئتم وقدموا لأنفسكم واتقوا الله واعلموا أنكم ملاقوه وبشر المؤمنين. ولا تجعلوا الله عرضة لأيمانكم أن تبروا وتتقوا وتصلحوا بين الناس والله سميع عليم. لا يؤاخذكم الله باللغو في أيمانكم ولكن يؤاخذكم بما كسبت قلوبكم والله غفور حليم. الله سمع الله لمن حمده. الله الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام